All right, we're here. It's Friday. We watched Thursday Night Football last night, and I made the mistake of starting Kirk Cousins. But let me go on and introduce everybody.
Sure.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Blake Randall, along with my co-host, Jesse Gary.
Oh, yes, sir.
And we got a special guest with us this week who hopefully will be joining us a lot more. This is Sean Morgan.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. So I don't really want to go into too much detail, but no, don't try to talk about Thursday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football.
Trying to tell me start Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins sucked. I was on record last episode saying Kirk Cousins was about to destroy Dallas's defense. I was wrong. It went the other way around. Marcus Lawrence took the game into his own hands and just destroyed the whole offensive line and Kirk Cousins.
That's the last time I listened to you, too, on that. I should have went with my heart. And went with my boy Jared Goff.
Maybe he'll get the trophy sitting over here.
No, you can leave the trophy sitting over there. I don't need to look at that anymore. Just remember whose name's on it first.
Just don't feel bad. I started Kirk Cousins in my other league over Russell Wilson, who I think is about to have a shootout with Mr. Wentz. Yeah. That's going to be a little interesting.
That's going to be a good Sunday Night Football game right there.
Well, I took my own advice and started Doxson over
leaving Alfred Morris hungry on your bench.
He had 117.
And the touchdown.
Let's see. 127 and a touchdown.
22 points, right?
He had 27.
How many points?
22.7 points.
How many points did Doxson get you, though?
8.6.
Doxson loves
He got a touchdown, so it ain't terrible.
Doxson loves getting his 20 yards and a touchdown, though.
I'm definitely feeling like I need a Snickers right now. I'm hungry.
You kind of do. Alfred Morris is sitting there waiting for you to have that Snickers.
I'm done with Alfred Morris.
All right, so let's go on and move to news and notes.
Sure.
What's happened in the last few days, even today, from Thursday Night Football on to today. There's injuries, practicing, keynotes. So go on in and give us a rundown of that.
Kelvin Benjamin is out with an ankle injury again. I dropped him personally. I was a Kelvin Benjamin owner. I dropped him for Doxson. Speak of the devil. Antonio Brown, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say Zay Jones is about to take over that number one wide receiver spot anyways.
For sure.
Looks kind of good before the injury, and then after he looked pretty good, so I would probably take him anyways.
Yeah, Zay Jones. Antonio Brown was questionable going into this game. Has missed practice 2 days in a row with a toe injury. I expect him to play. It's Antonio Brown.
Toe tap.
More sad news from the Packers. Ty Montgomery went on IR today with wrist surgery. So it looks like it's going to be Williams. It's going to be the only back right now. They're saying Aaron Jones may come back this week. It's still up in the air. Carolina Panthers defensive end Charles Johnson suspended 4 games for some kind of PEDs. No telling. Aaron Rodgers could be back at practice as soon as next week, eligible to play coming off of IR.
I heard tomorrow.
Week 15.
He might be playing around a little bit in practice. That's the rumor I saw with Schefter.
He's been throwing in practice and in pregame and rehabbing, but he hasn't taken practice reps. And I think they said they're going to wait off since I heard it would be next week. But I did see a report that said Saturday, so just me personally as a Packers fan, I hope he waits till next week so he gets over them practice reps. And
I like to see him wait after the Minnesota game personally.
I think he wants to come back from Minnesota.
I don't think he'll be ready. He don't want to face Barr again. We know that.
So he's back. Jameis Winston's back. Speaking of the Packers, they're playing at home against Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston's first game back. He looks as healthy as he has all season, apparently. So he'll be back in the game. That should give Evans a bump for you Evans owners. Devontae Freeman, talk about NFC South. Devontae Freeman, clear concussion protocol. Apparently he's not hurt anymore. As of right now, he will play this week.
He is back, and he's starting.
He is starting. Okay.
In a tough game, though.
Some more outs is Woods for the Rams. He's out. Hogan for the Patriots, out again. Damian Williams, Miami's running back, he is out with a shoulder injury, so look for Kenyon Drake. Amari Cooper is out. We know Crabtree's suspended, so we're going to 3 and 4 receivers here.
It's going to be really interesting between Cordero or Seth Robertson. Who do you think's going to take it?
I think they're going to rely more on Cooks. 'Cause that's one of Carr's favorite guys anyway. I think it's going to be run game. I think those two little backs will go out and catch a lot of passes, and then it'll go. But I think if any receiver gets it, I think it's Cordero.
I think Cordero's going to make that big play.
He's been coming on.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And I like Cordero personally. I'd like to see him have some success. Will Fuller's out. Desmond Trufant is out for the Atlanta defense. He's their number one corner. And then my last note to talk about is Greg Olson's foot was re-aggravated, the injury. I know as a Cam owner, I was really looking forward to having Greg Olson back just because they haven't had that consistent, Funchess has been pretty decent, but Olson brings a whole other dimension to the offense. So
basically, if you're a Funchess owner, you're kind of happy. It's a little bit selfish to say, but you're kind of happy just because Funchess is going to get the volume.
Yeah, and Olson will probably play, but Olson will probably not be featured. He'll probably be more of a diversion. And yeah.
All right, so that's the end of the. Anyway. No more news and notes.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's go in and just briefly talk about Thursday night football. Kind of get an opinion. Thursday night football, a little bit more in detail than what we already kind of talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of experts, quote experts out there, basically had Kirk Cousins as the start of the week just because of the matchup. I mean, what they tried to say is don't worry about the last time they played. When they played in Washington, there was the storm that they played through. That basically it was just a tundra that they played in. Kirk Cousins didn't even play too bad in that one. It's just the numbers weren't there. He had the passing yards. And it was almost like a similar game a little bit too, because he played just a tad better against the Cowboys. But Cowboys defense stepped up. To play.
For sure.
It was a must-win situation. It was a must-win situation for the Cowboys.
That defense, I gotta give that defense some credit, man. They looking like they're trying to make the playoffs without Zeke.
They was eating.
Yeah, they might make a run. Let's see.
If they win a couple games and then get Zeke back, it's
a tough division though.
It's gonna be real. Yeah, the Eagles
division. Eagles done locked it up. We're just gonna call it what it is.
I don't know. I thought for sure Kirk Cousins was going to come out and eat. This is a juicy matchup just based on just being a division game. And I knew it's in Jerry World, so you never really know what's going to go on in there. Cowboys have been better. I mean, people were calling out their coordinators and putting them on the hot seat. So I think Dallas answered the call. Marinelli came out. His defense shut down. If you listen to the podcast, I'm a big Rod Marinelli fan from when he's with the Bears. His defense came out, shut down. Jason Garrett come out, finally decided, you know what? Even though Zeke's out, I'm still going to run the ball. And between Morris and Smith, they ran the ball 37 times for roughly 160 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Basically, Dallas wanted to get the pressure off of Dak Prescott is what they wanted to do.
That should have been their game plan in the first place. Alfred Morris has had some wonderful years, and with the Redskins, had 3 seasons over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Feed him.
I mean, the offensive line in general, you would think they would just pound the ball nonstop with anybody that got back there. Yeah. I could be back there. I better get 20 carries.
Yeah, you're not getting touched until you're, running by their safety 8 yards deep in their, past the line of scrimmage. All they've been waiting for is that offensive line to dominate. I mean, that was what they were good at. So
it's like one of those things when you're the running back in that backfield behind that Dallas offensive line, there's a strong chance of you at least getting 7 yards, just getting ahead 7 yards before you even get contacted by the defense sometimes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to go over the players, Dak, was a little more, it wasn't a big Dak Prescott game. They tried to keep the pressure over him. He did get the hand injury in the game, so he was playing with a swollen hand. Didn't play too bad, but wasn't, spectacular.
For Dez owners, he was targeting Dez in the red zone, so that's good news.
Basically, this is the first touchdown that Dez has had in, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hasn't been, Dez Bryant, hasn't been like the caliber, top caliber receiver that, a lot of people would have thought at the beginning of the fantasy season. But,
he's pretty much been a disappointment, though, for the last, 3 years, you would say?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Dez really been Dez since
Tony Romo since Romo was fully healthy, for real.
It was that one playoff run that the Cowboys had, a few years
back. When he
back.
dropped that pass?
Right.
If he would have just caught it, I'm telling you, that's just got to be it right there. It was such a catch that he just still can't believe it. And he just drops them nonstop now.
That's funny.
So everyone was thinking that the Cowboys would have a bad game in terms of players. They were saying Morris is probably a flex, maybe if that. Witten is a sit. But
Yeah.
all the guys that, you would think that wouldn't do good. So Dez got his touchdown. Witten got his touchdown. Morris got his touchdown. So Dak Prescott got his touchdowns in that game. The defense looked phenomenal. Basically, for the Redskins, it was basically the opposite. Kirk Cousins didn't have a good game. Samaje Perine.
Defense had 4 turnovers.
Yeah, Perine wasn't that spectacular either. Crowder looked awful. I was hating on Crowder on my, posting up Facebook statuses. I was like, get this guy out of the game. He's playing like a bum. He already had like the 2 turnovers. The first interception Kirk Cousins threw was Crowder's fault. It tipped off his hands, and the got hit, fumbled it, and then the muff punt, and he lost it too, which didn't count against him. But Doxson got his touchdown. He was a flex play like we thought, and he did enough.
It's a leaper, ain't he?
Yeah.
Well, he got up for that touchdown. That was impressive.
I gotta say though, that offensive line really let Kirk Cousins down. Though I felt like he was getting hit on almost every play. Because what do you have? 2 fumbles in this one?
Yeah, 2 fumbles. Yeah,
2 fumbles, and they only ran for 56 yards and averaged 2.9 yards per carry.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, they had that offensive line really.
And there's one play I can think of that he threw it to Crowder, where he's running backwards and spinning out.
Yeah, he was just
threw it to Crowder like, save me, and Crowder came through and came back to the ball.
That was like 40 yards. Still.
And that's like what the game was in a nutshell. That play right there.
Yeah, and then Vernon Davis didn't have a good game again. He's just been. It's just it doesn't help when that offensive line's getting hurt. Trent Williams was playing injured with a bum knee, and then Morgan Moses gets out too. So
one thing you notice about these teams that have the running backs and the tight ends that are really, when Chris Thompson was in, Vernon Davis brought another level of just explosion to the offense. It just seems like whenever you have a good running back and tight end that are connected, they work off of each other.
And they're not getting that with that Byron Marshall at all. He's really not filling that void of like it's a third down running back.
Yeah.
So all right, let's go on and move on to our starts of
the week.
So, all right, we'll just go through our quarterbacks first real quick. We'll go by each position and talk about it, each one. And I guess I'll go on and start with quarterback. My start of the week for quarterback is Phillip Rivers playing at home against the Cleveland Browns. With how the Chargers are playing right now at the moment, you don't want to be the opposing team right now. The Chargers are healthy.
Phillip Rivers is hot.
He's playing hot. Keenan Allen, when you have an elite receiver like Keenan Allen's potential, that's playing good. Keenan Allen has been on fire the last month.
Yeah.
He has almost 400 yards receiving. And he's finally, playing like how a lot of people drafted him in standard leagues. Yeah. PPR, Keenan Allen's a monster regardless.
Right.
So Phillip Rivers is my start of the week for quarterback. Other quarterbacks that I listed, I wrote Derek Carr down against the Giants.
Yeah.
Jared Goff at Arizona. I think that's more. And then my sleeper pick at quarterback, I wrote down Tyrod Taylor against New England. Tyrod Taylor, I think he's kind of slowly getting back in the groove of things. I just think that bench and kind of motivated him more to play a little bit better. Yeah. Sean, you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same 3 quarterbacks that you do. If Phillip Rivers, let's face it, this guy's on fire right now, and he's playing a terrible Browns team. So I'm looking at him getting 3 to 4 touchdowns.
It seems like Phillip Rivers down the stretch in any season. You're like,
oh yeah, you do not want to play him at the end of the
season.
He's too hot,
yeah.
And then Jared Goff, of course, I got him as well. I think he'll have a monster game, and Derek Carr is just going to pick apart a bad Giants teams. But my sort of a sleeper pick would be Mariota. I think he's going to have a bounce back game. He's been a little bit of a disappointment, I would say, this year, especially erratic with the turnovers. The turnovers been terrible. But I'm looking at him, divisional game, against Texans. I'm thinking he's going to have a nice game today.
They got to win. They got to catch up with Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're fighting for that playoff. So I'm going to say he's going to have a monster game.
My quarterbacks, my start of the week, I'm going with Derek Carr because New York Giants. They allow the second most points to quarterbacks. It's a great matchup. It's going to be 2 bad defenses. I'm not so sure that the Giants can keep up. We'll see what the Geno project has in store. But I expect Derek Carr to do his thing, despite having Crabtree and Cooper out. I think it's going to be, the Cook show. And, I think Patterson's going to have a few splash plays. So I'm excited to see Derek Carr. My other quarterbacks is Jared Goff. And then McCowan, baby. McCowan train's coming through.
Choo-choo.
So
I'm still on it.
McCowan bounces back against, he had a great week last week. I can't say bounce back. He bounced back last week against the Panthers. I think he keeps it going against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the worst team in the league when going up against big plays. They allow the most chunk plays on the ground. They allow the most chunk plays in the air. And who's going to benefit from that? Robbie Anderson.
But we'll get to him.
Robbie Anderson.
If you want to go and do running back now, too.
Running backs. My running backs is, I'm going to say Jordan Howard. He should be a no-brainer. Deion Lewis, really any of those New England backs going up against the Bills, because the Bills have been god-awful against the run. Orleans Darkwa, I think, is going to have a pretty decent day against the Raiders. I mean, they have to. I think when you have a quarterback starting for the first time in a while, you got to funnel some of your offense through the running backs. So I think Darkwa will get leaned on heavily. And then my start of the week personally is Melvin Gordon. I think Melvin Gordon, they're going to be up on the Browns and just kind of waving, just milking the clock out. Eckler will get his touches, of course, but Melvin Gordon, I expect to go 120 in the touchdown.
For my running backs, I got an obvious choice is Fournette. I do not see him getting under 100 yards against a sorry Colts team. I'm looking at him possibly getting 200. Then after that, I'm going to go with Jordan Howard as well. It's kind of another no-brainer start, but let's face it, they're playing another sorry team, San Fran. But then I'm going to say Marshawn Lynch as well. And Marshawn, they've been handing Marshawn the ball off a lot, so I'm going to say that Marshawn's going to get probably 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go with 2 touchdowns as a guess.
That's true.
And then my upset player, my late round guy, I would say would be McKinnon. I think McKinnon's going to get a nice big splash and a touchdown. I'm going to say he's going to get a touchdown against an Atlanta team. It's going to be it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a shootout in a sense. So I'm going to say McKinnon gets 1.
All right, for me, I'm going to do. I just circled Patriots running backs. I just feel like the combination of Deion Lewis and Rex Burkhead at this point. Gillespie just fell off the face of the earth.
He's not even active anymore.
No, he's just getting a paycheck at this point. Yeah, good for people the first 2 weeks of the season, and then just became an afterthought after that. So I got Patriots running backs basically. I don't think you can go wrong with starting either Lewis or Rex Burkhead. Burkhead's more of a flex play. Yeah. Deion Lewis is more of like an RB2 for me.
I feel comfortable with Lewis. I would make him at 1, really.
Yeah. So and I also wrote down Jordan Howard. Obviously, that's an obvious no-brainer. I mean, you got to run the ball and ground and pound if you're still with Mitch Trubisky.
And
he's
San
still getting
Francisco,
used to things.
They're the worst against running backs.
Right, and
worst.
then Leonard Fournette's another one too. I feel like if Jacksonville wants to bounce back from the loss they had last week, you got to get Fournette more involved.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. That's basically what they're how they were rolling.
And
You want to get the pressure off Blake Bortles
yeah.
too. And it's just easy to run the ball against Indianapolis, too. Yeah. And Indianapolis does like to step it up. They've been stepping up a little bit the last few weeks, but, yeah, 4th worst team. I also wrote down, we do talk about the Chargers' defense. They've been playing good as of late, but they still have a hole. They still are bad against the run.
That's true.
And that's why. So I wrote down Isaiah Crowell. I think he can do all right. Yeah, you could say Duke Johnson, but I feel like more he's barely touching flex play. He's more of a pass catching guy, but Crowell's been actually finally getting to the point where he needs to be. He's been getting hot, and they're finally using him right. But I feel like just even with getting Gordon back, that helps relieve some pressure off Isaiah Crowell too, just because people are like, okay, I know what Josh Gordon's capable of, and Corey Coleman's good too. So you got to you can't flood the box with 8 guys like Hayden normally might want to. I also wrote down 2 more just because I just felt like it. I like Alex Collins this week too against Detroit. They're the 6th worst team against running backs, and I think just saying if the Ravens want to play good on offense, they got to play that ground and pound style like they have been doing. Woodhead's getting a little bit more involved. They're trying to get him more involved in the pass game too. But Collins has been their top running back in terms of playing on first, second down. He's been their top guy right there. And then also I wrote down for some reason I just do like as a sleeper Devontae Booker for the Broncos against Miami. I went to go pick him up and I forgot someone already had him in our league. So I just felt like because C.J. Anderson's I don't think he's going to be there next year. Booker's basically the Broncos are playing for next year right now at this point with all the guys.
Yeah.
So all right, and Sean, I'll let you jump on to wide receivers.
All right, for my wide receivers, I'm going to go with Keenan Allen, of course. What can I say? Once again, you're playing a sorry Browns team, and Phillip Rivers is hot right now, so I'm looking for Keenan to have a big day. I'm going to say Mike Evans should have the day that everybody's been kind of waiting for. I mean, he's due. Let's just face it. For my another wide receiver I got is I like Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs is going to beat out Adam Thielen as the receiver for the Vikings in that one, especially with Trufant injured. Then I got Alshon. Like I said, I think that's going to be a shootout. So with Alshon playing, no Sherman, of course, and I also like Mike Thomas. I don't know why. I'm never a fan of the Panthers corners, but then for my sleeper, I'm going to say Corey Davis. I'm going to say Corey Davis has a big game. Jesse, you want to go ahead with yours?
Yeah, I'm going Devontae Adams, who's been hot lately. Brett Hundley loves him. That's his main guy. That's who he's looking for in the offense to make big plays. Adams keeps it up against the worst pass D in the league against the Bucs at home. And really in a must-win game because they, talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back, if they can win a couple games, which they have the Bucs this week and the Browns next week, and then you get Aaron Rodgers back maybe for a little stretch run, I think the Packers are in must-win mode, and I think they get it done. I start Adams. I mentioned on earlier with McCown, Robbie Anderson has a huge day again. I'm actually going opposite of Diggs. I'm gonna say Thielen is my man. God, as a big Jordy fan, Thielen is like the up and coming Jordy. He's killing it. He's fast, explosive, athletic, great body control. Those yellow gloves catches everything. I mean, he's leading league in reception yards, ain't he?
He's second. Second right now.
I mean, I just think Thielen keeps it up. I mean, having Trufant out is great. I just think Thielen is just, man, he's their big play guy. But my start of the week, I'm going to go with, I'm kind of digging deep in the trenches here and pulling a guy out based off matchups, based off volume here lately, getting more accustomed to the playbook. Dontrell Inman, who was traded from the Chargers to the Bears, he's going to be my start of the week this week. Let's see, 3 weeks he's had 9 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets. So
if he's still on waivers, please pick him up.
Yeah, I think he should be picked up. This week they play San Francisco. They are also terrible against the pass. Go get Dontrell Inman and start him. He's my start of the week.
I'd say he's a flex play at least.
I think
he could put up. I think he can put up like his ceiling's like RB or wide receiver too.
He hasn't had under 64 yards, so he's probably going to get you 6 points, which really isn't what you look for. But I feel like this week
that's why I'm saying flex play. That's why I feel like he has like if he gets a touchdown, then he's like that's wide receiver 2 territory.
High ceiling, high floor.
Yeah, so I mean. He can get it. Trubisky's getting more comfortable, and with him too as well.
That's the only guy he's got to throw to.
Pretty much. I mean, and you got that random tight end that they have too. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what's his name, but I just did. So I'll be the first one to say it.
Yeah.
All right, my wide receivers, I circled 2 down as my start of the week. Devontae Adams 1. You already talked about the reasoning why, so I'm not going to go into detail with that.
Okay.
My other one as a start of the week is Cooper Kupp.
Oh, yeah.
And that's against Arizona, who are vulnerable to playing slot receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So Watkins is going to pretty much be shadowed by Patrick Peterson. Last time when they played in London, Watkins only had 42 yards receiving, and Patrick Peterson only plays or covers the slot area about 11% of the time. Do
you think no Robert Woods though? You don't think that would help out Sammy at all?
Yeah. Well, he's not playing this week. But you got Josh Reynolds, who could play this week. He's not playing too bad or anything like that. Josh Reynolds will do some relief right there too. Just how he played last week. He had was it 2 touchdowns last week, if I remember right? I think he had 2 touchdowns. So but Cooper Kupp and Goff just have that chemistry with each other. Josh Reynolds, if you want to look, someone look that up real quick. I can't look it up right now, but so I got Cooper Kupp down as my start of the week just because of the volume that he's been getting recently with Jared Goff. The volume's been picking up more. Watkins is getting a lot better too. Patrick Peterson is still Patrick Peterson. I also wrote down Robbie Anderson against the Chiefs. Big play, Robbie. Okay, yeah. So Josh Reynolds had 1 touchdown.
37 yards, touchdown on 4 catches.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it wasn't a spectacular day, but he's filling it. When you come in as the 4th receiver on the team, to fill in for Robert Woods, which Robert Woods is that possession receiver. Yeah. Cooper Kupp and with Woods out, Cooper Kupp's taking that role of being the possession guy. I wrote down Mike Evans against Green Bay. It helps him out because with Winston coming back. Now, if Winston wasn't coming back, then it would be Deshaun Jackson, who's the better receiver in terms of that. Then I just wrote down as a Vikings receivers against Atlanta. Like you were saying, Sean, Diggs should have a good day. There's no Trufant out there playing corner this week. He's out with a concussion. So it should be an easy matchup for the Vikings receivers. And Case Keenum should just have another top 10 quarterback play this week as well. So tight ends, I'll just start it off with tight ends. I wrote down my start of the week is Hunter Henry against Cleveland. As we've mentioned in previous weeks, Cleveland is susceptible to allowing at least a touchdown to a tight end.
And Phillip Rivers used to throwing the Hall of Fame tight ends, so he has a good connection with his tight end.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, Hunter Henry is a big, favorable target once it gets to red zone territory. Other tight ends I wrote down was Jared Cook against the Giants, Delaney Walker against Houston, and then Evan Ingram against Oakland. I do like Evan Ingram a lot, even though he's had a couple down weeks recently. Geno Smith's going to have to rely on somebody, and usually tight ends are your safety blanket in terms, for all that. So, Jesse, if you want to go on with your tight ends.
Yeah, same guys, really. Evan Ingram's going to eat. I got Julius Thomas, actually, for the Dolphins. Against the Broncos. They're without Aqib Talib, but nonetheless, they don't really do a good job covering the tight ends. And this offense has to funnel through something. So I think Julius Thomas is a good start. I think Cameron Brate's also a good start. He's done nothing since Jameis Winston's been out. Him and Jameis Winston also have kind of that connection like he has with Evans. Those are really his two guys that he targets and has a good, rapport with. So I think Cameron Brate startable against the Packers. My start of the week, I mentioned Derek Carr was my quarterback. Jared Cook is going to be my tight end start of the week. I expect him. I mean, the Giants, week 12, I think the Giants have allowed, out of 11 of the 12 weeks, they've allowed a touchdown. So I'm feeling pretty confident starting Jared Cook. And that's one of Derek Carr's favorite targets. And, I mean, both the number 1 and 2 receivers are out. So he wants somebody he can rely on, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up with that. I got both Jared Cook and Hunter Henry. Basically, if you ain't got the top 4 guys, you're basically looking for a touchdown from one of your tight ends, and I think they're the two most likely to do it this week. So I would definitely ride on Jared Cook and Hunter Henry if you ain't got Jimmy Graham, Kelsey, or Rob, and, of course, Ertz, who's been killing it for me right now.
I mean, this has been a very down year for tight ends, and basically the only way you can, hope for a good game from your tight end is if, outside of the top tight ends, is if they get a touchdown. So, I mean, right now I'm hoping for an Evan Ingram touchdown, but right now what's crazy is he is, I think, number 2 in terms of targets for tight ends all season so far. So, I mean, hopefully it works for Geno Smith. Hopefully Geno Smith doesn't get rattled too much.
It's interesting because it's not Eli anymore. It's now Geno, so it's
right, but Eli just hasn't been himself the last, month and a half. For some reason, ever since that Denver game passed, I know they won against Kansas City, but he didn't even look that great in that game either.
Yeah.
But ever since that Denver game, Eli just has not looked good at all. And hopefully, this change motivates Eli because I see him starting again this season, maybe next week. But hopefully, with Geno Smith, you get West Virginia Geno Smith.
I mean, do you feel like Eli deserved to get benched? I guess is the
from a production standpoint, yes. His production has been poor. And I think this was a move for McAdoo to save his job. Honestly, he had to do something without firing anybody. So I think he definitely got the message out.
Yeah, I mean they're already eliminated from the playoffs. So basically, the Giants are McAdoo said that Webb might get a chance to play quarterback this year too. But what they're trying to do is evaluate for next season.
Yeah,
they're already eliminated from the playoffs. So I mean, you got to look forward to next year. I mean, what didn't help the Giants is losing their top 2 receivers, anyways.
Yeah,
I'm more of on the fan side of it. I just kind of feel bad for Eli, the 2-time Super Bowl.
Right.
And personally, I mean, I mean, like they say, when Eli's your best player, you don't really have that good of a team, but I just think I don't know. I don't think Eli is the blame, 100% at the blame.
Yeah, that O-line's terrible.
The running game's terrible. Defense has been okay. They've been okay, but they weren't like they were last year. I mean, the defense is, I don't know.
Right.
Which, I mean, that could be from an offense, I guess, but
I
don't know. I don't think that was the answer, I guess. I don't think Geno's going to come in and turn the team around, and I definitely don't think they're going to be riding on Geno next year, and I'm going to say Eli's gone. But either way, McAdoo, I don't think that helps his hot seat either. So we'll see how it goes. I just think it's terrible for Eli, but I did love what he had to say as far as, because originally they were going to start him, and he just pretty much said, "I'm not going to start if I don't get the finish." So I did like that. Props to Eli.
Right.
Did everyone already go through their tight ends already?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll jump on kickers.
I'll
just go through this real
position.
brief. Yeah, I'll go through this one real brief because it's
me too.
that exciting. So my start of the week for kicker is Ryan Suckup, the Tennessee kicker against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, Houston's defense is good enough. Basically, they'll let you get down the field a little bit, but they're good enough to stop you from completely scoring.
Yeah,
so that's where, Ryan Suckup comes in because Tennessee, they will rely on a kicker even if he's 50 yards out or something like that. They trust this guy. Two other kickers I wrote down was Cairo Santos for the Bears playing against San Francisco. San Francisco is pretty bad to letting kickers get those field goals, stopping the offense just enough to let a kicker go for it, But I think the Bears' offense is, to the point where they won't get into complete scoring position or just score in general. Right. They'll get down the field enough. I don't see Trubisky doing too much. That's why I say, Jordan Howard's going to be doing a lot more. But I just think they're just going to be moving the chains enough and then maybe getting field goal range, because they might, I don't trust Trubisky enough to score. And then Kai Forbath against Atlanta, I think he'll calm down against his missed field goals that he's been having recently. He's had a little down stretch, but against Atlanta is pretty vulnerable to allow, in the same situation too. They got a defense that's good enough to stop you on the back end, so we'll see.
My start of the week for kicker is going to be Matt Bryant for the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota's about the middle of the pack with kickers, but ever since Atlanta has been on this hot streak the last 4 weeks, he's been a top 3 kicker, scoring 12 or more points the last 4 weeks. I think he keeps it up against the Vikings. Vikings are good defense, but they're playing, in the Georgia Dome, or what is it, Mercedes-Benz Dome now? No, that's the Saints. They got what's their new?
The
Superdome. So it is a Mercedes-Benz
Dome.
This
is the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
So they're playing at home. I think Minnesota comes up, or they play great defense on the road, but I think Atlanta has just enough to get, in the field goal range, and they more than trust Matt Bryant to hit those long field goals. My honorable mention is probably Jake Elliott because Seahawks has a great defense, but I see the Eagles going to Seattle and still having some success on offense. So he should get quite a few PATs, probably 2 or 3 PATs, and 3 or 4 field goals to add to that.
You like the guy in the Mercedes? I like the guy whose last name is Lambeau. I'm going to go with Josh Lambeau because, I don't know,
nice.
Colts. I'm just going to say it flat out, Colts are not good. And, the Jags defense alone is going to get them points, so they'll go up and get them in field goal range, even if Blake Bortles is having a terrible game. And like I said earlier, I think Foreman's going to run all over them, so I'm seeing a lot of kicks going in for Mr. Lambeau.
Yeah.
All right, defense, Jess, if you want to start with defense.
I'm going to take Jake Elliott and jump over and say Eagles defense are going to be my start of the week because I have them and I think they're going to play good. Let me be real. No, I just don't believe in Seattle's offense. The only person that runs through is Russell Wilson, and he does just enough on the ground to open up the, his playing. I don't think that this pass rush. I don't know that Russell Wilson has seen a defense like this year. I think he's going to struggle mightily. They already have no ground game as it is, and the Eagles are the number 1 team in rushing, so I think they cognitively prepare to stop Russell Wilson instead of preparing as much to stop the run because I feel like they can do that on the way to Russell. And then they can play just great pass defense. The one thing that the Eagles are top 3 in shutting down. They're number 1 on running backs, and I think they're 3 in receivers, but they're middle of the pack in tight ends. So I think their game plan is going to be more of let's stop Jimmy Graham, and I think they're going to be able to do that pretty seamlessly.
My defense start of the week.
They've been hot.
Yeah, my defense start of the week. I wrote down the Chargers, just with how hot they've been playing. Past month, pretty much. It's against Cleveland. This could be a. I just think Cleveland's secondary is good enough to contain.
Just start every Charger you got.
Pretty much. I mean, this is the week to do that. Other defenses I wrote down was Rams at Arizona, Bears against San Francisco, and then Raiders against New York Giants.
Them Cardinals are coming for y'all. Blaine Gabbert's coming.
I got Bears, even though they're starting Garoppolo. I just don't know why. I like the Bears against San Fran. I don't think Garoppolo is going to get it going. I don't know. I don't know if I really believe in Garoppolo. I'm thinking, could he be like that Mr. guy from Broncos after the great Peyton Manning, and everybody thought he's going to be with Osweiler.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really sold on Garoppolo just yet. He ain't got Bill Belichick behind him, so we'll see what he can do.
True. He got a great play caller behind him, though.
He does got a great play caller behind him, but I don't like really his. Let's see what he can do with them. I guess you can call them weapons. But the actual game now, like if you have either one of these defenses, is play Broncos or Dolphins. I think that's going to be a turnover sack city game. I don't see a lot of scoring in that game at all. Yeah. It's possible that both the defenses could have more points than the opposing offenses or their own.
True.
So
right.
Just look for that game to be just a bare knuckle defense, bloody mess.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for our starts of the week. We are going to talk about, our matchups this week. So we're going to kind of roll through these. We're going to start with the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games is what we're going to do, and then we're going to end this episode. And then on the next episode we'll talk about, we'll talk the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, and then what we're going to do with us, we're going to talk like playoff preparation. Looking ahead to the playoffs. This is the end of the regular season. How to prepare for the playoffs, what strategies you can do, what you don't need to do, what you shouldn't worry about, and what you should worry about. But going to the Week 13 matchups, we're going to start with the 1 o'clock games. We're going to try to roll through these really quick is what we're going to do. All right. So first game we're going to talk about, and we'll go talk briefly about it. We're going to talk about Minnesota playing at the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota is probably one of the hottest teams in football right now. Atlanta is just trying to keep up in the NFC, a strong NFC South right now with 3 teams that are contending for the playoffs right now in that division. I still like Case Keenum. I'm big on him.
NFC Player of the Month last month.
Yeah. I mean, he's just been slinging it like how he was in college and how he did when he took over in Houston when he played for the Texans. Then you got, let me get your thoughts real quick on the running backs, Murray and McKinnon for Minnesota, and then the wide receivers.
Going Murray. Murray's been the guy for 3 weeks running. Murray is, I think he's who they're really feeling comfortable giving the ball to down the stretch. He's a bigger back. He's pushing the pile. He's getting the touchdowns. He's getting it done on the ground in every facet. McKinnon's really been 3 weeks ago, he had an okay game. Last 2 weeks, he hasn't really gotten a lot of carries and hasn't had much production with his carries. So, actually, with this game being, I think Minnesota's going to kind of jump on the Falcons here. I think they rely on both of those running backs. But if I got to pick one, I'm picking Murray.
I would probably, even though I had McKinnon as my sleeper, I would go with Murray just for the safety. I mean, we're going to use Murray 20 times, I would assume.
Yeah, he's getting
he'll get 20 carries. But McKinnon, I just see like a big play for McKinnon.
Yeah.
But I have to say, though, that being a Vikings fan, the Falcons scare me. I think that former MVP Matt Ryan, he has the power to break that nice defense we got.
Yeah.
So
and that defense is much improved from last year.
Yeah, I know.
Even it's gonna hurt him having Trufant out, but
it's gonna be a tough game. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Real quick though, starter sit Vikings defense.
Start. No, I'm gonna change that because in fantasy I had them in the beginning of the year. They're a great defense in real life, but in fantasy not so much. I set them.
I mean, I would sit them. I mean, with Matt Ryan, like I said, it's going to be a tough one for us. So that's not a pretty matchup right there.
All right, and briefly talking about the Falcons, thoughts on Matt Ryan. Freeman's playing. We already talked about Freeman, so we really don't need to go into detail on that. He's going to be a must-start anyways.
I think Freeman is what levels his playing ground. Minnesota has a great rush defense. I think Freeman.
Let me ask this, though. This. Do you start Freeman this week, or do you start him, or do you sit him? And Minnesota is great against the run, too.
I mean, if you got Freeman and you need him, I mean, of course you got to start him.
Probably one of your studs. Yeah, you start him as no more as a flex at worst.
Flex at least. I would definitely start Freeman. Yeah. But I mean, it would be a tough game. But I think they're such a high scoring team that it's easily for him or Coleman. One of them are going to get maybe a touchdown, and I look for them to get a lot of catches as well.
Yeah.
So if you got a PPR league, definitely.
Yeah, and Freeman's got a little bit McCoy in him where he can just turn on a dime and break a big play. I mean, and just kind of gas you. He's so quick, and he's so powerful. I like Freeman. I would probably start him.
Matt Ryan. Sit.
If
Xavier Rhodes.
Matt Ryan, if you don't have a good matchup if you don't got a quarterback with a good matchup, I'd say, and he ain't a top 15 guy, then I'd probably start him. But other than that, I would probably say
start Matt Ryan or Big Ben this week. Big Ben's playing at Cincinnati.
I'd probably play Big Ben. I don't know. We already know the Bengals versus Steelers games. Them are dirty, fun watch games. So we'll see how that goes.
Start Matt Ryan or Cam Newton.
Let's see. Cam Newton's playing the Saints. I would start Cam. I'm not a real believer on that Saints defense, though.
No.
Well, what I like about Cam Newton, though, I would choose Cam Newton over Matt Ryan, but it's because Cam Newton runs the ball.
Yeah.
He's a dual threat quarterback, and he's been running the ball a lot more. Also, and of course, I don't need to say anything about Julio. Julio's a must start, especially how he played last week.
Yeah,
went off for it. So I'm gonna go. I think the Vikings win this game.
Me too.
Wow, I'm the Viking fan, and I'm over here thinking, I don't know, I don't like it, honestly. Falcons at home, I'm going to say we barely lose. We're due for a loss. I'm going to say that's the team that gets us one.
Falcons' offense has been hot. Vikings' defense is too good. Vikings go down and shut it down. Vikings win by 10.
Okay. Moving on to the Houston Colts game.
Mm-hmm.
Titans. Houston versus Titans.
Sure.
Obviously, you're not going to start Tom Savage. No one in their right mind would start Tom Savage unless you've been one of those paranoid fantasy players that just dropped everybody just because. Lamar Miller. Thoughts on Lamar Miller?
You have to. Titans' defense is terrible. You got to start Miller. You got to start Hopkins. I think that's all you got.
I know I hate Tom Savage, but I love Hopkins. It's hard not to start Hopkins.
Still the number one receiver in fantasy. He's been consistent.
Yeah. Thoughts on Texans' defense? Start, sit, stream.
Sit.
I think they're a stream option this week, though, just because how Mariota's been with turnovers.
Yeah, I would say they're a stream. I mean, Mariota's been reckless, honestly. So I could see, even though I have Mariota as one of my sleeper quarterbacks to start, I could see him once again letting me down and throwing 2 picks. So I don't know how I feel, honestly, but I would say stream them.
I'm going as a division game. Titans are at home. They ground and pound, and you just can't score defense. You can't score fantasy points on defense when you get grounded and pounded. So I'm going Texans.
So do you think Murray and Henry have a good game or help Titans get the job done?
I think one of them has a great game. One of them has a decent game. I'm just not sure who it's going to be, unfortunately.
It's something you never know with the Titans. Like Murray could get you that touchdown, and Henry could get you the yards. And Delaney Walker is the only other guy on that team I see as a start. And then Titans might be a string or a pretty. If you're hurt, if you don't like your defensive matchup for a defense that you have, Titans could be a good stream option. I mean, they're not the best defense. It's just when you're playing against Tom Savage, when you're playing against Tom Savage, you might have that matchup you like.
Yeah, I honestly like the Titans' defense. If you don't have a great defense, I would honestly start them. But I think, what do y'all think about Corey Davis or Rashad Matthews? Think either one of them get anything? Or are you going with Delaney Walker all the way?
Oh, well, I'm all in on Delaney Walker.
Walker, if you got Walker, those 2 receivers I say are flex appeal. I
like Walker.
Corey
Davis.
Davis.
The receivers are flexing most.
Yeah. Rashad Matthews has had that one big play a couple of weeks ago. He ain't really done much. He's been consistent with kind of a middle of the pack floor, maybe 60 yards. Corey Davis, everybody's waiting for him to break out. I'm still waiting on
Matthews has a hamstring injury too.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's still a game time decision. So we'll see what happens there. I don't think he's going to play. If he does play, I don't think I'm just not a fan of it. If anybody has a hamstring injury that runs as much as a receiver, a running back, or a tight end, I don't think they're that effective at all.
Houston's been good at taking away your number one weapon. I think it's going to be Corey Davis they're trying to take away this week, and I have to see him. He has to show me that he can be that guy before I start him. So personally, he's a flex if he has to be there.
All right. So moving on, next game. This is the one I want to have a lot of questions in this one. Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Jets. I'm just going to go and throw it out there. Kareem Hunt. Do you start him, sit him, flex him?
Sit him.
You gotta flex him. I mean, any minute now, I think Kareem Hunt's ready to break back out. But personally, I think this is going to be the week that they're going to say, okay, we got to get back on track, and we're going to get the ball rolling again with Kareem Hunt. So I would probably start him as a flex at least. There's no way I couldn't set Kareem Hunt. Honestly, he's still fourth best running back in the league, even though he's kind of let you down, I guess, in the last 3 weeks.
Last 4 weeks, 6.8, 6.1, 7.7, 2.6.
Not pretty. I ain't going to lie. But I see them getting the game back rolling. They're out of November now. It's on to December. I see some wins coming back for them.
I just see this defense struggling too much for Kareem Hunt to stay on the field and be productive. I said Kareem Hunt. I think there's got to be somebody. If you have Kareem Hunt, you probably picked up like a Deion Lewis or – I feel like there's somebody that you probably picked up along the way who's starting to get hot, and I start them in place.
Well, for me, like as a Kareem Hunt owner, I'm benching him this week. Like as much as it pains me to do, like Sean was saying, he could, this could be the breakout week finally to happen. But I got Fournette also, who's been like a roller coaster ride himself. But the other guy that I picked up, Alex Collins, the Ravens running back. So I mean, he's been playing a little bit hot.
Alex Collins, I go Collins.
So I mean, I'm starting Collins this week. So I mean, I'm just going to sit. I mean, I'm already in the playoffs in our league, so it's just regardless of what I would have done, win or lose, I'm still in. So I don't really have a big worry there. Yeah. It's just, I just want to see Kareem Hunt bounce back. So I mean, I'm just going to let him sit on the bench, and if he gets all those points, good. Then I'll play him next week for the playoffs.
Do you start Alex Smith?
No.
Do you start Travis Kelce?
Yes, you have to.
What do you do with Tyreek Hill?
Flex him. I'd flex him.
I
don't think he does. With how that offense has been playing, I just it's the big play potential that he brings. That's why you can't sit his big play potential
so fast.
Yeah, I mean Tyreek can really break out a 50-yard touchdown on anybody.
On a slant, right?
It does not matter. It could be he could go one catch and get 100 yards that day.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, let me ask this: between the two quarterbacks in this game, who do you like? Who
McCown.
Yeah, McCown.
Hands down.
McCown.
Chiefs' defense is too bad. The Jets' defense has actually been better than advertised. Those rookies are playing lights out. Chiefs' defense has been awful at chunk plays, and the Jets' offense are great at chunk plays. It's a great matchup for the Jets' defense. The Jets' offense, they're at home. I start both their receivers. I start McCown. I don't know that I play the running back carousel. Maybe you flex Forte if he plays since he's the starter. I don't really know.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the running backs this week just because, Forte's still battling injuries. Bilal Powell is just – he's hit or miss. Like I think he's just wearing down. But like the top two guys that I like is McCown, like you said, and then Robbie Anderson, just because he's big play Robbie.
Yeah.
ASJ.
I'm starting him.
Volume's there alone.
Yeah. If you look at his stat line the last 4 weeks, he hasn't caught a touchdown. He's had 6 balls in his hands while in the end zone the last 4 weeks. 2 was called back on penalties. 2 was just plain out drops. And what are the other 2 I'm thinking of? It might be 4 called back on penalties. And then 2 are really, really bad drops. So it's not, he's the second most targeted tight end in the league in the red zone since like week 2. So he's getting you the volume in the red zone. He just needs to catch the ball, and they need to stop doing whatever they're doing to get the ball called back on them.
Yeah, I like ASJ in this matchup. Personally, though, I know you all were talking about Alex Smith and McCown. I'm not really as big on McCown. I'm going to say they both, though, finish in the middle of the pack as far as quarterbacks. So I don't see either one of them having a big day, but I don't see either one of them having a bad day. I think there'll be an okay start from either one. They'll be solid, I think.
Yeah, well, for me, like McCown, I think he's a top 10 play this week. Josh McCown. I just think I think he'll still continue on like what he did last week against Carolina.
And if you have one of those backs, I think you probably go with Powell. Because Powell has been the most big play back they got, and when he gets out, when he breaks one, he breaks one.
Yeah, Powell's the safer bet between the two, just because Forte's getting the injuries, and I don't really have any trust with Elijah McGuire.
I start Powell. I don't start McGuire, and if I have to, if Forte plays, I might flex him.
Yeah, at most maybe, but I'm not. I would sit him personally. All right, so next game, Broncos at Miami Dolphins. Trevor Siemian's the starting quarterback. Thoughts on him?
I actually think this game is going to be. What do you think? Over under 40 points. Over under.
Under.
Under. What do you think, Sean?
I'm gonna say under. And personally, I'm not starting any player on either team. Unless it's a PPR league, I wouldn't play any one of them. That's the only way I would play, honestly, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I would play them in PPR.
Okay.
And I'd play, of course, you got to play Jarvis Landry in a PPR. That's automatic.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker's been up and down. Kenyon Drake, I believe Damian Williams is out this week.
Yeah.
So he might be a safe bet, but that Broncos defense is – that run defense.
They've been pretty bad against the run the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But like Drake's but he's the only option there.
Right.
I mean, but like for me personally, like I know it's like terrible
I'll play
against
devil's
receivers.
advocate, so go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna say you're gonna play flex play Drake at most. That's like I feel like he can, he has to do something. But it's just the Broncos. They haven't been that great against the run the last like 3-4 weeks. Also. I mean, if you allow Orion's Darkwater run all over you, you ain't been playing too good.
Yeah, last 6 weeks they've been the 30th worst defense last 6 weeks.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. So I mean, it's just both. This is like a bad matchup for both teams in general in terms of like players to play.
I think it's a great fantasy matchup because there's no defense on either side of the ball.
Right. It's sad to say that about the Broncos too. Like they still got Talib and Harris and stuff like that, but I mean, is he?
Yeah,
that's
right.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, crap. Gosh, I feel like that was already so much has happened in the last few days. I forgot about that. All right,
Yeah.
So Landry, I like Landry. Then I do like Landry with Cutler at quarterback. Now, if it was Matt Moore, then I would like Kenny Stills more.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, other than that, I don't really like anybody else. I don't like Parker because Parker just hasn't been. He's just been like the guy thrown to the side a little bit. I mean, and then like
I agree
you
with
said,
Parker. I don't like Parker.
And then
at
Julius
all.
Thomas
He's faded out.
He's faded out. Thomas, like you saying, he's a start of the week, one of your starts of the week. I think he's a good stream option this week. If you're someone that doesn't like your tight ends matchup and you're trying to get that last play, get into the playoffs because this is, it's now or never.
Right.
If you're, on the borderline of getting into the playoffs.
I'm going over 40 points. I think there's no defense in this game, so I don't understand how they're going to get held to it. And the Broncos finally put their best quarterback back under center. Trevor Siemian's getting the start. Trevor Siemian's going to come out and he's going to throw 3 touchdowns. I think that Emmanuel Sanders gets back on track. He's not fully healthy. He doesn't look like Emmanuel Sanders that's stretching the field, but I think he gets back in the game and makes some plays. I think DT gets back in the game and makes some plays.
You think he bounces back?
DT?
Yeah. Do you think he gets a touchdown?
I think he's going. I'm going to say 80 yards and a touchdown.
I got him in my other league. I hope so, but he's been letting me down with all 3 quarterbacks this season, so we'll see.
I think their run game still struggles because Dolphins still have Ndamukong Suh, and you can't run inside on them. So C.J. Anderson, maybe a flex. I think the Dolphins, you can start Landry. You can start Landry. Stills is flex. Parker's a flex. He has a big play upside. That's the only thing that keeps him in the conversation. He hasn't done anything.
I wouldn't even start Parker, honestly. There's no way. I don't even think I would start him as a flex.
I agree. Benching. And then Julius Thomas, I think, has upside because he's one of Jay Cutler's favorite targets.
All right, moving on. Next game, Colts.
The 1:00 games.
Yeah. Colts and Jaguars. I don't like any Colts in this game. The only one I do like is Doyle because Jaguars aren't the best at tight ends, but everything else, like Hilton's going to probably get shut down. Any other, I don't like any of the running backs. So,
yeah, I mean, if I'm going to take 2 players from this game, it's going to be just Leonard Fournette and probably the Jaguars defense. Other than that, Bortles it's an okay matchup for him. I mean, if you have Bortles on your team and you have nobody else, I mean, yeah, he wouldn't be bad, I guess, to start. But personally, I mean, I think you could find somebody better.
Yeah. I agree that Jack Doyle is a pretty good matchup on the Colts side. That's about it on that side of the ball. Frank the Tank, I don't know. He's still kicking. He might get you one. Jacksonville, you definitely start their defense. If you have to, I think you can start Blake Bortles. They're at home. It's a decent matchup. Start Fournette. last time these two teams played, Fournette didn't play. It was a juicy matchup. This time he's going to come in, ball out on you. Any of the receivers I don't like.
I like Bortles as a stream option this week.
Yeah,
for me.
I think you can.
Marquise Lee could be a good option this week too. If he's on your team,
Pass
the volume's there
defense
for him. The volume's there for him.
This could be a Mercedes Lewis week too.
Basically, this is a week if you have the key Jaguars players. Mercedes Lewis could be one. I mean, he's a good stream option. Jaguars defense start. Bortles a stream option if you're needing a quarterback, to help you get in the playoffs. If you don't if you have guys like Matt Ryan as your quarterback. If you have let's see, what's another quarterback with a weird matchup? I mean, let's see, who would be a number one guy with a weird matchup?
Big Ben.
Yeah, Big Ben could be one.
Matt Ryan.
Stafford.
Matchup. So.
Yeah.
And then let's see.
You want to talk?
Yeah. Well, next game, we'll jump on to the next game. Buccaneers, Packers. Bucks, Packers.
Ooh.
Go ahead and tell me about your play.
Not much defense. Play a whole bunch of people. Play Mike Evans. Play Cameron Brate. Play. Let's see. What's this big running back they got? Peyton Barber. Play him. He's a goal line guy. He's going to get some carries. Packers struggle against big backs anyway. If you're on the Packers side of the ball, you can start Adams. I think this is actually going to be a Cobb game between him and Adams. I think they'll both be productive. Jordy's just lost it. He's just lost in this offense. They can't find a spot with him, with Hundley. And then I think you start Williams because he played lights out last week, and I expect him to do the same thing this week.
Me personally, I'm not a fan of any tight ends in this game at all. What's the Packers rank against tight ends, though? Aren't they one of the best to get tight ends?
Yeah, they're somewhere between 21 and 32.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Brate, for some reason, I just feel like the last few, Brate's been off the last few weeks in terms of how he's been playing. But Winston's back. That's the thing. Winston's back, and he likes Brate. When Fitzpatrick was in, O.J. Howard was the better tight end.
True.
I do like Jameis Winston as a good stream option this week. Doug Martin's not going to play, so he's out. Jaquiz Rogers, you could potentially play him. Like you said, Peyton Barber could be that vulture back anyway. It's like goal line back if they get there. Mike Evans, start the guy. Deshaun Jackson's a flex play this week just because with Fitzpatrick, I would say Deshaun Jackson would be like a wide receiver 2 at best. Flex play, he's kind of pushing it for me. Winston loves throwing to his big body receiver and Mike Evans. I'm not a fan of the Buccaneers defense. Brett Hundley, you could stream him this week. I think he's starting to get things going a little bit. Jamal Williams must start, in my opinion, against them. Adams, he was one of my starts of the week, so you play him. And everything else, Packers defense maybe, but I'm not a really fan of everybody else.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on all those points. Question, who would you start, though? I got Jameis Winston against your Packers, and then I got Matt Stafford against Baltimore Ravens. Who do you like in those matchups? Personally, I think I'm going to go Winston.
Yeah, I think Winston's better. From a matchup standpoint.
Matchup-wise, I like Winston with this. Just because Packers defense are just not there at all, pretty much. But the thing is, though, with Stafford, Matt Stafford can show up when you least expect it. That's the thing.
We can just roll into.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of roll into that one. So this one should be a good game in terms of some of these key players. There's certain guys to look at in the Buccaneers Packers game. So the ones we mentioned, I think those are guys you can be comfortable with playing.
Yeah.
Next game, obviously now too. There's a couple more 1:00 games we'll talk about, and then what we'll do is because we're talking longer than we expected a little bit, we'll jump at the 4:00 games. Start that in the next podcast is what we'll do. That'll come out in a couple of days as well. So we'll talk about Lions, Ravens. Matt Stafford, for me, I would start. I think you can trust Matt Stafford. I mean, even the thing with me is I kind of look back at the Thanksgiving game with how Marvin Jones played against Xavier Rhodes, and Marvin Jones, I didn't think he would play good at all just because of the matchup. He, went total opposite on me because I thought it would have been more of a Golden Tate show. Stafford for me he's a start. But he's not he has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback, but he also is in that range for top 20 for me too. just because of how good Baltimore's defense has been playing. I don't like Amir Abdullah. I don't like Theo Riddick at all. Marvin Jones I do like just because of the volume there, because he does throw to Marvin Jones a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Tate's another guy too. I think when it comes to passing the ball, I like it.
You got to start with those two guys.
I think Jones and Stafford are the safer bets.
You just
got
to start them.
Tate's
a
flex play for me. But I mean, I like him. Galladay, I'm not playing
at
all.
I don't even start Stafford. I'm scared of the Ravens' defense at home.
I don't know. I think you could if you have Stafford, I think you can be okay playing him. I mean, I don't think he can do worse than Kirk Cousins.
Don't play him if you're trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a better option or a better matchup too. But I mean, I don't think he. But do you think he has a better game than Kirk Cousins?
About the same.
About the same.
Mm-hmm. About 250 and 2 touchdowns. I'm gonna say 250, a touchdown, and 2 picks. So worse.
I'm gonna say he does a little bit better than that. I'm gonna go. I agree about 250, but I'm gonna say I think he'll be a little bit more efficient with 2 touchdowns. I don't see him getting 2 picks. But then again, I mean, it's a tough game. I mean, but Stafford's the type of quarterback that he can light up any defense. So even though the Ravens are playing lights out, that's a really hard one. I think I do like the receivers though, especially in a PPR, because I mean Golden Tate's a PPR machine, of course, and then Marvin Jones seems like he's the touchdown guy, I guess, for them. But other than that, I don't think I like any other players for Lions.
I agree.
Ravens, do you like Flacco?
No.
No,
Detroit.
Flacco is I would say one of my most disliked quarterbacks against any team.
And the Lions have one of the best pass defenses in the league.
If your name was Darren Dinkoff, you'd like Joe Flacco more than Matt Stafford.
This would be your matchup right here.
Yeah. Any Ravens running backs? Basically Collins and Woodhead.
I don't think this is a good. This isn't. The game script's not going to fit for Woodhead. Woodhead doesn't fit what they do because their defense is too good. They're not going to be behind. So it's Alex Collins all day. I start him.
So if you love in the Ravens, you would start the Ravens defense as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would start Alex Collins as well. I don't think I wouldn't touch any Ravens receivers.
No.
All right. Moving on. Next game, Patriots at the Bills. I don't think there's anybody you can choose against. I like everybody with the Patriots this week.
The Patriots just come to town and whoop that ass.
Pretty much.
That's all I got to say.
You start Brady. You start the running backs. You
Defenses.
Start Brandon Cooks. You start Amendola's a flex play for me. Gronk's a must start. Defense, I would start too. So I mean, if you got a Patriots player, throw him in your lineup. Unless it's Chris Hogan because he's not playing, so don't start him.
Bill side of the ball. The Patriots are the best against tight ends, so I don't trust Charles Clay, even though he's really the only target. Zay Jones might get one in. I think he might get some garbage time. Tyrod Taylor you can probably start because of his ability to run and make plays happen. But
yeah, I kind of like the matchups for both sides of the ball on this one. I mean, I like Zay Jones as a flex. Shady, of course, you got to start. I think Tyrod will make some plays happen. And Charles Clay, I mean, I know he's bound still with the injuries, and even though Patriots are still good, I mean, he's their only option in a sense with next to Zay Jones, and I think he would be a solid start. And I don't know, besides Bill's defense, that's probably the only ones that I could say I would sit.
I'm gonna go surprise here. McCoy is the most hit running back in the backfield. I think you set McCoy this week because
I just think
his whole offense runs. Yeah. Their offense runs through them, but I think there won't be an offense for them.
Well, me personally, I just feel like you have to start McCoy. Just
he is your stud.
He's your
stud.
That
is hard,
and just the volumes there. But the only guys I like is Taylor and McCoy in terms of the offense. So one more 1 o'clock game we're going to talk about. It's really not impressive on paper at all. It's the Bears and 49ers at the Bears. Do you start any of these quarterbacks? Do you start Trubisky or do you start Garoppolo at all?
Bears defense hasn't been as good as they were early in the season. I know their first round pick from last year, Leonard Floyd, is hurt out for the season. They have a few key injuries in their defense. I think that you could probably start. The Bears are at home, and their defense usually plays pretty well in Soldier Field, and it's usually a pretty windy environment. So, if you really shouldn't even have either one of these quarterbacks on your team.
I mean, I would say that too. You shouldn't have either one, but This is going to be an interesting game to me
The
because I feel like
matchups are good, really.
I feel like the matchup's great for Trubisky, and to me, I feel like this is the game I think that is going to tell you what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be without the Patriots. I think this is going to be the game that you're going to be like, you're going to see, okay, is he the real deal or not? And I'm going to go with it. Whatever he does today or whatever he does Sunday, I'm going to say he does that for the rest of wherever.
With him, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I just think there's such a lack of weapons. He's going to be efficient, but he can only do so much with what he's given.
Yeah, I mean, all Garoppolo has is basically. Yeah, you start Hyde.
I'll probably start Kittle the tight end.
I'm not a fan of Kittle right now with Garoppolo for some reason.
You don't really know.
But you never know, though. You don't know who his favorite guy's going to be. Cause, I mean, you might like Marquise Goodwin because he's been with their top receiver. I mean, he does get you like 70-something yards, but he's a big play guy because he's fast. So he can stretch the field pretty quick.
Yeah.
Carlos Hyde I like. And then on the Bears side of the ball, I mean, the only ones I like is I like Howard. Inman's a good
Love Howard.
Flex play for me at most.
Yeah.
And then Bears defense is a good stream
Inman's
option.
my man. He's your receiver one this week.
I feel like a lot of people like Coin, but I don't start Coin anymore. I think that train is done left. Marquise Goodwin though, you think he'll make any noise?
I haven't seen it enough to even be.
Yeah, I mean,
God, if you need a huge play to win, maybe you just say, "Hey, he's going to get me a big play." Other than that,
only person I'm starting on San Fran would be Carlos Hyde. That's the only trustworthy player, really.
Yeah, got to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean Tyreek Cohen, he's just been like a roller coaster ride at the beginning of the season, and then he's just kind of fallen off.
He's been a healthy scratch since.
He did a little bit like last week, didn't he? I think he played last week.
Who was y'all's backup last year? He took over that role.
Oh, Cunningham. I thought he's out.
I don't think Cunningham's out. I think he's been the one taking that passing downs role.
Oh no, yeah. He's sorry.
Yeah.
He's just
don't.
It's just
Cohen shouldn't even be owned anymore.
No, I mean, but yeah, Inman is the only guy to look at really at this point for that.
Howard has 199 touches on the year. That's the second most in the league. So. It's all Howard. It's the Howard show.
All right. So that's where we're going to end this episode of the Fantasy Football Wrap-Up. So we talked about your news and notes, talked about Thursday Night Football, gave you our starts of the week. We'll tweet those out for our followers there, and then we previewed the 1 o'clock games and gave our opinion on the key fantasy players in that matchups. Next episode we'll talk about the 4 o'clock games, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and then just kind of give you a playoff, preparing for the playoffs. That's all we got. Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Wrap-Up. That's a wrap.
Wrap it up.